Welcome to Environment, Health or Wealth, Educational Game Training, Farm to Fork. We're actually doing this as part of the National Science Week project supported by the Australian Government. First of all, I'd like to start off with acknowledgement to country. Edith Cowan University acknowledges and respects the Noongar people who are the traditional custodians of the land upon which its campuses stand and its programs operate. In particular, ECU pays its respects to the Noongar elders, past and present, embraces their culture, wisdom and knowledge. My name is Sandra Smith. I am the Home Economics Institute of Australia WA President, and as part of our work today, we're working together to bring to you this session. Transformational games. Video games and apps are a popular form of entertainment for adolescents, but when they are designed as transformational games, they can also be powerful educational tools. In a transformational game, the player is immersed in a problem-based fictional context in which they play a role to solve these problems. They must use the educational content to first make sense of the situation and then make choices that actually transform the play space. They learn by seeing how that space changes because of their own efforts. This provides learner-centred, active, experiential and problem-based learning, which research shows provide the deepest forms of learning. This style of game also provides heightened engagement and motivation for learning because it is individualised to their role in the game, challenging, exploratory, and provides immediate feedback or decisions being made. For this, there's a number of key design elements in a transformational game to achieve these motivation and learning outcomes. 1, the player is immersed in the virtual world using engaging, dramatic storyline, plausible real-world challenges. As you'll see through our Farm to Fork game, the player must increase the health and wealth of Potato Town, but minimise the waste to protect the environment. 2, the player engages in role play as they transform the story and engage in various challenges. 3, appropriate tools such as quizzes and information are embedded in the game to help scaffold the challenges and solutions. 4, our gameplay is mapped to address core curriculum outcomes. 5, opportunities are given to transfer new learning to decision context. 6, rules and rewards are embedded in the structure of the game. And 7, the player's achievements affect the ongoing narrative and outcomes. As a team of nutritionists, educators and game designers at Edith Cowan University worked with adolescent students and teachers in a co-design approach to develop a meaningful and engaging transformational game about food and nutrition for use in the classroom and aligned with curriculum in various learning areas. To begin with, the team discussed with 13 groups of years 7 to 10 students their interest in food and nutrition and priority topics, then brainstormed game ideas based on these priorities. The students' topics and game ideas were covered and reviewed in Teachers with Science, Technologies, Health and HAS to tease out key concepts and learning objectives aligned with curriculum. The food production chain or food system concept was found to incorporate many student interests and curriculum learning objectives. The team worked with this to create a game with narrative, goals and challenges designed to engage and interest the students in learning through real-world scenarios of managing the potato food supply system. The prototype of this game was tested extensively in classroom trials and then modified on student and teacher feedback. Now what I'd like to do is introduce you to Jen Hanna, who's the Nutrition Project Officer at Edith Cowan University, and she'll be overseeing the next part of this session. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Sandy. And thank you for everyone for joining us for this session. So from our registrations, we've been able to indicate that we've got a whole range of people joining us in this session, anywhere from parents through to educators, both primary and secondary, and some health professionals. I've had the opportunity to work with the research team that have developed the Farm to Fork game and worked with the teaching and learning resources, as well as having the opportunity to conduct some of these with students in the classroom. So today I am briefly going to introduce you to the Farm to Fork ECU game, but most importantly focus on how the game can be used to engage children and introduce a range of educational themes which cover a range of learning areas. This can be done in the classroom or as effectively at home as well. So it'd be interesting to know whether you have downloaded and played the game. It is available to download via the App Store onto iPads, and it is free for anyone to download. The game has been designed around a town called Potato Town. The aim of the game is for the player to sustainably produce, process and market healthy potato products and help improve the health of the townspeople. It's about balancing environment, health and wealth. Let's watch a quick preview of the game to give you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like. Here we go. The game's actually divided in areas, and we begin with the farm. Within the farm, players are required to plant and care for potato plots. They then are matured and they need to harvest them. Within each stage, there's a range of little lists, like a little to-do list, which guides the players to understand what they need to do within each stage. And as they complete that list, it opens up to the next stage. So we've got the production stage. Now we're on to the waste stage as well. So with the waste, they're having to dispose of any waste that's produced on farm as well as in the processing. It's got a series of questions. When students are playing the game, they may not know the questions, so some of it's going to be a little bit of trial and error to start with. And from there, they move from our production to our waste and then on to the market. And during the market, players are actually encouraged to use advertising, to explore and look at different ways in which the town can improve its health. So we're getting healthier options in school canteens, and then it's influencing on our market demand. So as the players select the advertisements, you will actually find that the market demand changes and our people in the store are actually selecting healthier food. At the end of the game, you do get an overall rating. So players are encouraged to go back and replay the game and see if they can improve their scores. So that gives you a really quick overview. It takes about 20 minutes to play the game throughout from start to finish. And we find that students are really quite engaged in that whole process. Once they've gone through the 4 stages, the game map is then open and they can just transfer back. So they can go from the market. If they run out of potatoes, they've got to go back to the farm, produce more, send that through processing, dispose of the waste, and then come back to the market. So a couple of things that you can do. Obviously, if you have the opportunity to do this with your children at home, they can play it individually on an iPad device. Within schools, we have a range of schools that have successfully been able to download the game and play that individually. For those who don't have access to iPad, you are actually able to screen share that onto a big screen and play the game in a group session. We have had some success with that within primary school as well, and then we have had our friends at Switch Your Thinking do a couple of children's sessions that went through where they played the game live and asked the students what to do. So a little bit of a pick your own adventure, get the group to pick what they want to do and play the game like that. So with the game in general, it has a main goal game. So the main aim of the actual game is to go through and look at the potato food system, and it requires attention to the following sub-game goals. So this is sort of more of the goals in which they have for gameplay. So they need to ensure that they've got an adequate supply of potatoes. They need to ensure that they're creating demand for healthy potato products, keeping the businesses profitable, and also managing waste and making sure that it is environmentally sustainable. Aside from the game goals, we have the educational goals. Now, these are available to download, and we'll tell you where all of our teaching and learning resources are towards the end of the session. But this is just a little bit of an overview. I've highlighted some of the key educational goals or themes that are embedded into the game. So you're looking at things like natural resource management, agricultural practices, economics and environmental sustainability, potential food end products, how our food is processed and distributed. It's looking at the financial and marketing pressures, a whole range of things. So sustainably dispose of waste, food distribution and supply and demand principles. We also have the opportunity to explore roles within the food system. So looking at what jobs are available out there that link into our food supply chain. So that just touches on some of the educational goals and themes within the game, and they link directly to our curriculum, and we've been able to map that out for you. Again, this information is available in our downloadable resources, but we see that the game fits into 4 major learning areas across 4 different year levels. When the game was trialled, we trialled it with the early high school years, so sort of year 7, year 8, year 9, and we got some great results from that. We've also had the opportunity to get it into the classroom with year 6s, and they find it really engaging. So we're picking up some science themes. It fits very comfortably within our technologies. It's looking at our health and physical education by looking at and exploring advertising and the influence that has on our food choices, and also fits very comfortably into our HAS subjects as well, looking at our economics and business, as well as looking at food production and soil growth zones. When we're talking about the resources that are available, there is a link there to our teacher resource guide. It includes 8 already developed lessons, or some of those are actually multiple lessons, but they're units of learning that can be picked up and delivered in the classroom. Within that resource, we also have all the curriculum information and the background information on the game that you can explore a little bit further. We also have a suggested links page, and it gives you a whole range of links to additional information if you want to explore any of those topics further. So now we're going to actually explore each stage and our actual teaching resources, and kind of go through some activities that you could potentially do if you have the opportunity in the classroom, or just as easily with children at home as well. So when we're looking at our first stage, so stage 1 within the game is our production or our farm, where players are required to actually grow the potatoes. And there's a few questions in there about soil quality. What kind of things do we need to grow potatoes? How long does it take to grow potatoes? So activities that you can link into this aspect fit into science and fit into our HAS subjects. And the first one we're going to explore today is actually looking at healthy soils. So what are healthy soils? What do soils look like? We can look at different types of soils and how different growing regions, for example, within WA, produce different foods and are more suitable for the growth of different produce. So today, what I've got here for you is just a few little soil samples. So we've been able to go and collect some soil. So this one here is from the wheat belt, and looking at where we've got grain production, you can actually see that it is sort of a little bit darker in colour to your other ones. This one's just comparative to a Perth soil, very sandy. You can see there's all bits and pieces in there. It has just come out of my garden, so it's got some chunky bits in there. You can see it's quite different. And then we have one from the southwest out near sort of Bustleton area, in which potatoes are grown. So getting samples of different soils gives you the opportunity to get our students and our kids to explore and have a look at, well, what makes up a soil, how are they different. You can look at, just visually look at them, or you can do some soil experiments. And the resources that we have sitting on our website link back to some great activities you can do in the classroom. This one here is one that can be done. So it's just a really quick way of looking at a soil sample. So just taking a jar, putting some of your soil in there, and then topping it up with water and letting it sit for a few days. And you'll see that you'll get all of the debris floating on the top, and then the soil will actually level out, and you get your real harder sandy stuff at the bottom and your light soil sitting on top. So it gives you an opportunity to look at your soil profiles. So that's one activity that you could be doing, linking into the production of potatoes. The other things we've seen is growing your own potatoes. You can get seed potatoes. Some of those will be done in like a plastic bottle, so you could actually see what's happening in there as it's growing. The next stage we're looking at is our processing plant. So food processing, and looking at our nutrition, or what impact our processing of food has on nutrition and on health. So within this part of the game, students, or the players, sorry, are required to go through and produce 4 different food products. So you can see there from the screen, we've got crisps, salad, fries, and whole potatoes. What we're able to do is, one of the suggested activities really fits in with our health and phys ed and our health components of actually analysing and looking at the recipes and looking at the nutritional content of these. When we have a look, it also fits into a bit of science, looking at the technologies behind food production, what food science goes into producing these foods. So I'm going to flip across and have a quick look. So what we've got here is just a range of recipes. So we've got a potato salad recipe. Otherwise, I have just downloaded the nutritional information for each of the products. So this is our whole potatoes. We've got our fries, and we've got the crisps. So taking those 4 items that are produced within the game and getting students to analyse the nutritional value of them. You can easily download a nutrition basics sheet and get them to compare the salt content, the fat content, and how that is different through the production of our potatoes. So when we have a look at the nutritional content of our whole potatoes, you can then start to do a continuum. So for example, you've got your whole potatoes, and then which recipe fits in best as on a nutritional scale. So you're putting in your potato salad, and then you've got your fries and your crisps. So you could get students to analyse that information and have a look at it. The other thing we link in onto that activity is actually YouTube videos that shows the mass production. It shows the process of what whole potatoes go through from farm to fork. It looks at a mass production of a potato salad and what that looks like in a factory. as well as your chips and crisps. So it's tying in the opportunity for students to actually see inside a factory, see what equipment they're using, see what labour is used in a factory to produce all of those things. So we're looking at our nutrition as well as the actual processing of the different food items. And it gives the students the opportunity to explore other end food products. So what else is potato used for? And getting them thinking about that. So we'll move on to the next stage. So looking at our waste. So when we're growing our potatoes, there is some waste in the actual production on the farm. So you can actually begin to explore with your students where food waste comes from, what impact it has on our environment. There are some great statistics out there about how much food is actually wasted within the home. So if you're able to play this game with your kids at home, you might actually explore, well, what kind of things do we waste within our home? You can also look at the different waste levels for the different products from the previous activity and exploring which of those products produces the most waste. So within food waste, we can see it fits into HASS, design, technologies and science. And if we have just a quick look at here, if we've got our whole potatoes, if you were to cook a whole potato, you're going to wash it, but then you've got all your wastewater, you've got some of that topsoil coming off,